Hi, good morning. It's time to rise and shine, and I'm going to turn the camera. I'm here a little early, but man, is it worth it. It's glorious. Look at the colors. Oh, this camera really doesn't do it justice. Wowza. I might have to walk backwards just so that view is like behind me, and y'all can enjoy it. Or maybe I should just turn the camera around. Y'all probably don't care about seeing me anyway. Wow, and the way it is reflecting on the water. And sorry for the jiggling, y'all. Put my glove on. It is warmer today too. It's like in the 30s. There are silver linings. It's all about perspective. This probably would have felt cold to me before we got below freezing temps. Now it's like, oh, it's warmer. Wow. Yeah, I might have to see if I can turn that around. Look at the reflection on the water. It's like a mirror. Beautiful. My husband and I came walking here last night with the dogs. It was during the day. It was in the evening before sunset. And it was the same. It was like the color of the sky matched the color of the water because the water was being a mirror. It was reflecting. And I'm sure there's like a lesson in there. But my message that I received today that I'm going to share with you all and try to learn from as well is the concept of being a good listener. Just listening. Listening is so important. And sometimes we can really deceive ourselves thinking that we're listening because we're hearing and like our body is there, but are you really dialed in and listening? Or are you kind of waiting to interject your thoughts and your agenda? If you catch yourself doing that, you might not be listening as well as you thought. And we all come with our own agendas. We're all excited about different things that are going on in our lives, and it's from a good place. We want to share. And as a coach and a mentor, boy, can I really fall into this trap. So I'm really having to check myself. I was reading, of course, in the Bible this morning, and I shouldn't say of course. I'm not perfect in that area by any means, but right now I am being disciplined with it. I'm really trying to listen while I read because, words are a form of speech. So I'm really trying to listen. I even caught myself today with my own thoughts going in, and I had to go back and start over. I missed a whole few paragraphs. So I wasn't listening. I had my own stuff going on in my head. But anyway, the story that was shared in the Bible was about, that I read this morning anyway, in Exodus, was about Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, coming to bring his sons to him in the new place. And of course, they hadn't seen each other in a while, so they spent some time catching up. And what Jethro really role modeled really well, and that we can learn from in this story, is he really listened. He listened to Moses. He asked questions. He really wanted to hear. He genuinely cared about him, cared what was happening, wanted to hear all about it. And of course, Moses's adventures in Egypt are, legendary, and movies have been made and songs written. And so we all know the epic. It's hard to, even if you're not a Christian or you've never read the Bible, most of us have heard, let my people go. And that, and that the 10 Commandments were delivered to Moses. And anyway, but so sometimes even little stories like this that are so impactful can even get lost in an epic adventure like that. But that's what caught my attention this morning. And yeah, Jethro was a good listener, and he asked really good questions. And then as the conversation built and Moses really, they connected. And Moses was like, man, Jethro really cares about me here. I mean, he knew that, but he was being reminded, and he was trustworthy. And then he was able to receive some ideas from Jethro. And Moses at this time he was doing all of the things. He was the judge for everybody. Everybody was coming to him with their problems and waiting for a decision. So it's like consuming his whole life at this point. And Jethro could see that this was not sustainable. And he was like, would you like to hear some ideas? I think there might be a better way, because if you keep doing this, you're going to burn out. And I think there might be a better way that still allows you to be involved, to make decisions, carry out God's will, but, share the burden, delegate, create a team, teach. So, and he kind of laid out an idea for a plan. And then Moses was able to hear it because he had been listened to, he had been understood, they had made a connection. And Jethro asked good questions in that process and really got a good sense of what was going on, what Moses was struggling with, what the people were struggling with. And as an outsider coming in, and that's really the value of what like a coach and a mentor can do, because we're not in it. Sometimes when you're in it, it's just the way you've done it. It's the way you're doing it. It makes sense. It's getting done. So you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. And that's really the value of having people speak into your life, whether you hire a coach or you just have a great mentor that's willing to pour into you, or you're in a community, church, whatever, you have those relationships in your life. It's really important to build those and to be teachable. So that's also the lesson, not only from Jethro, but from Moses. Even though he was the man that God had chosen to lead and do all of these things, he was also listening. And he didn't come to Jethro, like when Jethro threw his idea out there, he didn't say, well, thanks, but I'm the man, so I don't really have anything to learn from you. And anyway, so it's bi-directional, and he was teachable as well, and he really could see the wisdom of getting this outside perspective, and then his eyes were opened, and he was like, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe I should give this thing a try. And the idea was so good. It's where our current judicial system is still role modeled after this, or what we have today is based on what was established way back then. It was such a good idea. So Moses trained up some people, chose some good, reliable men of the community. He taught them the law. He taught them how to make decisions based on the law. And then that way, the people had a court system and judge and juries and maybe juries weren't a thing then, but, and then for the most important matters, he was still involved. So they would filter up through, and there was a system in place, and beautiful design, but all because two men in a trusting relationship with each other were able to listen to each other. And gosh, a few months ago, I had an acronym come to me, and so that was reminded to me this morning that I try to use. I need to remember more, and it's using the word act. To accept could also mean to ask, and even in accepting, you've got to listen. The C, connect. In order to connect with people, you've got to accept them where they are. And sometimes that's hard. That's easier said than done. And then the T is for teach. And in parentheses, I like to put teachable. So that, it reminds you to listen, to be teachable. And in order if you want to reach somebody in that way, you've got to go through the first two steps first. If you're coming at somebody and you're going, hey, listen, I know what you should be doing, but you haven't listened to them, you haven't been able to connect, do you think they're going to listen? Do you think they might sit there and go, okay, thanks. But internally, they're eye rolling, or whatever. They don't care about me. They just care about themselves and think they know it all. So anyway, I'm definitely a work in progress in this area. Look at this. Look at that. So when I get on here and I'm doing these things, I'm like reminding myself, because when you're in a position and recognized as a mentor and coach, sometimes you can forget the foundation. So it's a constant, like, staying in it, remembering to learn and listen and ask and accept and not expect people. So part of what we do too is projecting on people. I've learned so much and I'm so excited about it. I just want you to be there with me. Like, it comes from a good place, but we're all on different journeys and we've all got on different timings too of what we need to learn and what God's doing in our lives, whether you recognize it as God. So when I use the word God, I'm being true to myself and my beliefs. But you use whatever word works for you. A lovely gal the other day said, I like to use the word mystery. I hear people use the word universe, whatever. I believe in Jesus Christ and God. So that is going to be the language that I use. So anyway, those are my thoughts for today that I'm really going to try to listen to myself. And, we're all works in progress. We're human. Do you hear the geese? Man, they're happy about this weather today. Oh, I don't think you can see them out there, but you can hear them probably. Be still. I wonder what they're saying. They're like, oh, it's so warm. It's awesome. Like, I wish it could stay like this forever. No, they probably like it when it's a little bit warmer. But again, perspective-wise, when I was out here yesterday, I think it was somewhere between 10 and 15 degrees. So being in the mid-30s is feeling pretty warm today. All right, I'm going to say goodbye, and hopefully I can hit the finish button. I'm learning and growing with you guys. So have a great Wednesday.